Welcome to Lit by Moonlight, where it's not a phase to follow the love of your life into the Trojan War. Hosted by Emberlyn Leja and Caitlin Laurie. This week, we are discussing Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. The Song of Achilles reimagines the story of Achilles and Patroclus from Homer's The Iliad. It follows the pair from childhood to the onset of the Trojan War and through its 10-year duration, as their initial bond and deep connection to each other develops and blooms through time. It's an utterly heart-wrenching love story that will make you feel deeply, weep openly, and want to immediately share it with all of your friends.
Okay. So I guess my first question for you, Caitlin, perhaps the most important question of this book is how do you imagine that Thetis sounds?
How do I imagine? Ooh. Okay.
I have to know. It's very important to me.
It's funny, okay, because I feel like I listened to the audiobook for most of it. Well, yeah, most of it. And she kind of sounds like this. It kind of reminded me of the recording for Kaz in Crooked Kingdom through Wyland's perspective for that audiobook, and it wasn't good. So, in my head, when I was reading it, she just sounded like a normal woman.
I'm glad you were able to create that correction in your head, because I feel like there is really something, I think, cursed about the way that the audiobook narrator reads Thetis' voice. It's really just like this, and it's kind of horrible. And it's like, why does she sound like, I don't know.
I know that she lives in the sea, but why do her vocal cords have to be like that?
I know. Like, I kept trying to, dub her over in my brain as Cate Blanchett, but it just wasn't working because it just consistently was bleeding through. And, of course, that's obviously not the best place for us to start, because I feel like there's so many other parts of this book that are beautiful and tragic and wonderful. So we can definitely jump back to those now. I just thought that was an important part.
That earns its own whole podcast episode, honestly.
Yeah.
Dissecting Thetis' voice.
Why is she like this?
It was a choice. It absolutely was a choice that they made.
A choice.
Oh, God. Oh, man. So before you got, reading into this book, how much Greek mythology did you know, beforehand?
Not very much, honestly. I think I watched one Percy Jackson movie when I was, 14, and I just didn't know anything about it beyond that. How about you?
Not a lot, just the basics. And we'll get to a major one definitely later, but I didn't know enough for this to be like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen in this book, or I know all these characters. It was just like I know that name, cool, and that was about it. And I had, honestly, Greek mythology was one of those topics that I just always avoided, because I just thought, I'm not going to like that, because I didn't give a shit, because I don't like history. Why would I like history that's possibly fake? So
yeah I definitely feel like there are folks, classicists, who've read the Iliad and would probably say that you need to read the Iliad to understand what's going on in this book, or to just appreciate it more. And I think that could be right. Maybe we could go back and read the Iliad for a podcast episode in the future and revisit this book. But I definitely also am one of those people that has not read the Iliad through at all.
It's not your Sunday morning read.
It's not. It's dense. It's complicated. It's not something that I can imagine my brain fully latching onto. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you there. I think, honestly, reading Song of Achilles makes me want to actually read the Iliad, because I feel like, because I have an idea of what the story is now through characters that I was actually caring about and attached to, I might actually look into the actual history of it. So
yeah,
I'm saying that now. That doesn't mean I'm going to actually do it.
I
but
will
just
not
know
be.
that
I will not be
someday. It's
I
on the
only
list.
care about the LGBTQ community in this book.
Yes.
I have no interest in Greek mythology.
Oh my god. Okay. So, okay, on that note, looking stuff up for like the Greek mythology, like the actual history of this, I thought, okay, totally knew Achilles was a thing. I've never heard of Patroclus before. So I thought, oh, Madeline Miller just like created this new character. And that's what, cause like I knew it was an adaptation, so I was like, oh, it's fake, but like I like it. It's very cool. Like I like this kind of take on it, especially since it's from his perspective. And so I was like, oh, this isn't like a real thing. And then I was like Googling it. It's like Achilles and Patroclus were possibly lovers in real life. And I was like, what do you mean he's real?
He's
like,
a real man.
Fantastic. This is fantastic. Like, and there was a lot of like in the Iliad, I guess itself, like it's never like explicitly said that they were like in a relationship. It's very like implied that they were very close and that they were each other's like confidant and like trusted each other with their lives basically. But it totally could have been plausible that they were in a romantic relationship, and I for one like to believe that's true because gay rights.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of historical documentation that maybe not across Greek history, but in some facets of Greek history, male companionship was very common. So
yeah,
that's a wonderful. I will be sleeping very soundly at night knowing that that's the case, especially if it's the case for Patroclus and Achilles, because
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's amazing. What is it Madeline Miller?
I've been saying Madeline, but that's definitely something I should have known beforehand.
I was just thinking that too. I was like, I wish I knew that.
It's fine. We're new at this.
Yeah. I think that that's something that she cares a lot about. I did a lot of reading before I sat down here today about how much love and care Madeline Miller put into these two characters, and just kind of got the sense that she just finds them to be so special, and actually did, I think, her master's thesis on their relationship.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is so sweet and lovely. And I guess I have to read you this quote because I think it's so soft, but she says, in the decade, and this is from The Guardian, in the decades since it was published, I've been honored to hear from readers who put excerpts in their wedding vows, who made quotes into tattoos, who taught it in their classes. I've heard from people who've said it helped them come out to their parents, and others who said it inspired them to get their PhDs or to start their own novels. Every writer wants their book to have its own life, but I never in my wildest dreams imagined my Achilles and Patroclus would get to have such a rich and rewarding one. And if that doesn't make you cry, like...
I'm actually tearing up. That's so sweet.
I know.
I love that.
It's so soft.
Wow. Madeline Miller, or Madeline Miller, or maybe it's Madeline Myler, and we've been wrong this whole time. That's sweet. I love that.
The disrespect we're paying to this author right now.
Wait, so so this book was her thesis, or she wrote about?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this book was her thesis. Can you imagine if this was your thesis? To be her professor, to be her honors. To be her advisor on this, like her thesis advisor, I would be like, wow, this is the gayest and most beautiful thing I've ever read. I
guess it's 1,200 words, Madeline, not 30-something pages of this. Oh my god, or pet chapters. That's
I guess on that note, like, if you were Madeline Miller's thesis advisor and she handed this to you to look over at some point in your life, when would you start to think that maybe this wasn't going to be a happy ending?
Okay, so I realized this wasn't going to be a happy ending when I remembered the whole thing about the Achilles heel and where that comes from. Because, like I said, didn't know a lot about Greek mythology, but I did know that Achilles was the character, and we have an Achilles tendon, like our Achilles heel, and the whole thing is like that's like a very vulnerable spot. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember realizing in the most random spot, I think it was like one of the times when like Thetis didn't want Achilles to go. I can't remember if like it was after she sent him away or what, but I was like, okay, does she not want him to go to war because Patroclus will have to go to war and he's gonna follow him, and like she knows that they're just gonna follow each other no matter what. And then I was like, and then maybe something will happen to Oh, 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 wait. I just remembered that that's a vulnerability and like Achilles heel. Oh, Patroclus is his weak point, and this isn't gonna be nice.
I think that's a really interesting. Actually, I think that's a really spot on interpretation. I only know of Achilles heel from Taylor Swift's renowned classic State of Grace.
Iconic.
In parentheses, acoustic version. So I did not know a lot about how that factored into everything that was going on here. And it really was not. I feel like I'm telling you all about how smart I am right now, but
so
I didn't really think about the heel until I later Googled Achilles, and I was like, Achilles heel. Oh yeah, and it all made sense all of a sudden. So I'm so proud of you for making that connection.
Oh, thank you. It's only because I've had so many like ankle and foot issues in my life
Yes,
that I know what the Achilles tendon is.
I feel like you spent a lot of time with your Achilles tendon, so you know what's going on with it. Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, with the whole, was it going to be a happy ending? Did you have any guesses how it could end? Because it didn't end the way I thought it was gonna.
Yeah, no, I honestly thought it was going to be horrible. I really, the last two lines I think saved my life, because I anticipated in that very last chapter that Patroclus was going to be left haunting Achilles' grave forever without any relief from Thetis. And at the very, very end, when Thetis was able to lay him to rest properly, I finally felt some relief. It was not where I thought it was going. And I'm not one to cry a lot during books, when reading books, but those last two lines, I think I've never sobbed so much at books. I'll link the pictures of me sobbing in the episode description. I've never cried that much. Yeah. How about you?
So I think it threw me off that this was all from Patroclus's perspective, because I thought Achilles was gonna die. Like, I thought, like, okay, we know that he's, like, once I figured out, this is not gonna be very happy, I figured Achilles was gonna meet his fate, like he said. I thought maybe Patroclus was gonna fight with him and then, like, maybe accidentally kill Hector because they were told that Hector was gonna die first. And I was like, oh my god, watch like Patroclus kill him and then be like, heck, that was my bad, and now you're gonna die too. So like I thought that was gonna happen. And he, at one point, like, Patroclus did say like he didn't have any intentions on living after Achilles died. So I thought it was gonna be
quite often.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like Achilles dies, and then then Patroclus takes his own life situation, or they were gonna die possibly together. I knew they were probably both gonna die, and it wasn't gonna be nice, but I did not foresee Patroclus being the one to die first. And so that I kind of liked that that choice of it being through his Patroclus's perspective, because you don't really expect the author to kill off the character you're being told the story from. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I feel like I had that same that same reckoning with Crooked Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which I will not go into a spoiler
if we say
written review.
If we say chapter 40, that's all you need to know.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. Same case here. I think I saw something coming when multiple times throughout the book Achilles would be like, what's Hector done to me? And that was kind of my cue to be like, oh, he's probably gonna take Patroclus. Like, that was kind of like the thing for me that was like, it's probably something involving the love of your life. But I guess I just didn't anticipate how Hector and Patroclus would end up in each other's earshot to allow that to happen. And I thought that was the part that just devastated me the most, that it was Patroclus protecting his partner's honor in the battlefield. Ow.
Yeah, ow. I will say, okay, so I don't know. So I'm a big crier. I'm a Pisces. So it just comes with the package. So I cry at literally everything. It doesn't matter. I did not cry at the end of this book. And I don't know if that's because of just knowing that they were going to die. Like, I was very sad, do not get me wrong. But it didn't make me cry. But I did cry in this book. And it's the most random line. But it was the moment where I think this made me cry because it was like the culmination of like, it just tells you like this is what's going to happen and it's going to suck. So it's when I can't remember, was it Odysseus telling him the story? Doesn't matter. Of Cleopatra and like how her like husband was fighting in the war and or he was refusing to fight in the war, and all these people were dying, they were hating him, and he only listened to Cleopatra when she begged him to please stop and fight and end the war, and he only listened to her because he loved her so much. I was just like, this feels important. And the line that got me was Cleopatra, Patroclus, her name built from the same pieces as mine, only reversed. And I read that and I started bawling because I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good. Because then that's when I knew, I was like, Patroclus is going to be like the reason for why Achilles will have to eventually, meet his fate. And like, can you imagine like realizing that you have to, like, you've been trying to save your partner for so long and you have to be the one to basically get them to go like towards their fate and go to their death, whether you want them to or not. But like, I don't know, that it devastated me. And I read it so late at night, I was just like sobbing in my bed like, no. It was horrible.
It is devastating. I totally forgot that part because it was like, at the end of the day, I feel like Patroclus's, like the decisions he made that triggered a lot of what happened, I feel like were not intentional. Like, at that point, they could not have foresaw that him riding out onto the battlefield in Achilles' armor was going to result in this fate that they had been anticipating for like 18, not 18, but, close to 18 years of their life together.
Yeah.
And it hurts. Ow.
Yeah, ow. My review of this book. Ow. Caitlin Moore.
It hurts.
Ow. It hurts. Stop. Thank you.
Please stop. Don't do it again.
When I opened this book, what I just read better not have happened.
It's gone. It's over.
You open it up.
The page is
empty. And then they live happily ever after. The end. See?
The end.
If only more books could be like that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
If only life could be like that.
Right?
Ooh.
It's like when I close my eyes and I open them again, everything's gonna be fine.
I think this is a good time for us to transition to which character you would toss a fig to.
Ooh. Who would I toss a fig to? I think I'd toss a fig to Briseis because I don't know, I just, like Patroclus, I just wanted to protect her and tell her everything's going to be fine. And if I had been able to toss a fig to her, I definitely would have saved her from her fate because I don't think she deserved that. And I just really wanted nothing but the best for her. And I wanted her to be safe. And so I would toss a fig to her, and we would become best friends. And we would run away together and not be in the Trojan War, because absolutely not a fan of that.
I would toss a fig with all of my might at Pyrrhus's face for killing Briseis, because he's a little shit, and I really do wish him the absolute worst. I do.
Oh my god, I love your interpretation of toss a fig to people. On that note, my question for you would be, who's a character you would throw a spear at? Because mine is Pyrrhus.
That was the next question.
Yeah, I hate him so much. What made me mad was everything about him.
Everything about him.
But like specifically, like, okay, Achilles dies. He's Achilles' son. He's the next successor. Sure, fine, whatever. But he came in acting like he knew Achilles, and like he knew what the best was for him. And I feel like that is a very good representation of being raised by Thetis. And because she did not like Patroclus. I mean, she's stupid. She sounds like this. So what are we supposed to do? But he just comes in, and they're like, hey, so your dad's dead, but he really wanted to be buried with this guy, Patroclus. And Pyrrhus is just like, he is a servant. He shouldn't be remembered as such with my dad. Fuck you and your friend. I say what goes. And just, I don't know, just his constant, like, totally not standing for what Achilles ever stood for, and just the idea that this guy had to take over in his place, it pissed me off. And also, on that note of Pyrrhus, when I was going through all of the notes, in the beginning, it's on page 19, it says the fates had foretold that Thetis' son would far surpass his father. So Peleus didn't die in the book, right? Peleus is Achilles' father. Did we ever see him die? Because Achilles most for sure did not surpass his father. So then my question would be, because Pyrrhus was raised by Thetis, is that like the loophole of like, or like the gotcha moment of, actually, we're not talking about Achilles in this, little prophecy. We're actually talking about Pyrrhus, and then he's going to take over because he actually outlived Achilles. Or am I just thinking too hard?
My brain may not be complex enough for that question. But could you repeat what? Could you reread the quote to me?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the quote is, "The fates had foretold Thetis' son would far surpass his father." And him being Achilles. And because I think this is when we were like learning about how he would be like a really great warrior. So his father is King Peleus.
Yep.
And I read the book. Don't remember anything about King Peleus dying and Achilles outliving him. And Thetis did raise Pyrrhus after he was born, because she took him from Diomedes. So
yeah, I didn't. I interpreted that as surpass him in terms of his honor and his wit, not his life. That's why I think I'm having a. But I could see that too. I was like, I still might have like interpreted the quote wrong. But...
No, I don't think there's any wrong interpretation. It was just more of that like I didn't think anything of it the first time, and then when I was going through and I read that again, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Who are you?
Who are you?
So that was my thing. So would you toss a fig and throw a spear at Pyrrhus?
I would whip. Again, I think I'd whip a fig. I think I have to go back and rethink who I would toss a fig to,
like genuinely,
affectionately. But I will say I think that I would still toss a spear at Pyrrhus. I feel like he's just the central villain of this book. I know that Thetis exists as like this, basically, like, I feel like she's just inherently this overbearing mother figure who's kind of bitter and like probably smells like fish. I don't know. And because she's from the ocean, that's my, I don't know. I wanted to say stinky, but I was like,
she's probably like stinky.
She's probably stinky. But like, I don't know. I felt like I could humanize her more because of the fact that she just got taken by this mortal one day and raped on a beach. Whereas I could not say the same for Pyrrhus. I think he just is a little butt. You know, like he's just capital L, capital T, like that for some reason. In part because he was raised by a bitter sea nymph, and in part because I feel like he's stepping into his father's shoes and like feels all of this entitlement to his father's honor without knowing his father and wanting his father to live his truth at all. So yeah, I would toss a spear right into his face. Fortunately, it seems like we don't have to because he did not survive the book. Respectfully, rightfully so. With that, I think we can probably jump into two peaks and a valley, and we can talk a little bit about the things we loved about this book, and some of the grows and glows. You know,
the grows and glows. Do you want to start with a peak?
Sure. Let me find them. Okay. So my two peaks. Biggest first one is just the writing. It's incredibly angsty and lush and just leaves the reader with the sense of wanting, which I really loved. I feel like you could tell that the whole book from Patroclus's point of view was really like a love letter to Achilles. Each time he would kind of describe something Achilles was doing or saying and then follow this up with, I love this about him. I was like, ugh, the adoration in your voice. So that was my first peak. Did you want to share your first peak?
Yeah. It hit me, and I'm sad to say that this is true, but I'm also kind of glad that it finally happened. This is the first book I read where the two main characters are gay, and that is the main focus. And it's a peak for me in the fact that like this is now in my library of reading, and like I really do wish I had read more like this. But I'm just very happy to have like read a book like this where it wasn't a side character. Like I've read books with LGBTQ characters, but I've never read one where it was the main focus of the book, and I just thought that was really good, and I hope that I could read more books like this in the future because I absolutely should, and I liked it.
This does not count all the gay fan fiction.
No, this is like reading. As far as fan fiction's the whole thing that's been going on for a long time. I'm well versed in that. However, it's the first published book with two gay characters that I've read, and wish it was a happier one. But I really enjoyed it, and I just thought it was so beautiful, and finding out that also like in the actual Greek mythology that this could have been a possibility, I was just like, that's really nice, and I choose to believe that they were more than just each other's very, very close friends. Because I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I need to read way more books like this personally. But I don't know, it was nice. It was a nice change to have that be the focus.
Historians will say they're friends. So that's a wonderful point. I would say my second point was that it was tragic. My notes say it's tragic. Peak? It's fucking tragic. Yeah, that is my peak. Oddly enough, this book is so incredibly sad. To watch the person you love grow mad and bitter and essentially rot from the inside because of their honor, because of their legacy, and then because of finally the loss of you is so devastating, and I can't imagine that it can be very easy for anyone to write such a book. So I think that immense props must go to Madeline Miller, because it is really beautiful. And I defer to sobbing over the last couple of sentences because I think that I really don't often react to books that way. It was amazing. Nice. Share your second peak now, friend.
My second peak now, friend. I think my second is so stupid. Okay. My second peak is for a quote, okay? It made me laugh out loud so hard. And I love that you had this beautiful, like, your peaks were beautiful and well thought out. My second peak was the quote, "Her ankles were particularly lovely." I thought that was so funny because there's like, like the whole joke of like, ooh, show a little shoulder, ooh, show a little ankle. And just for Patroclus to like, just genuinely say, yeah, she had really nice ankles. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, that's funny. I feel like Madeline Miller put that in as a treat.
That was for you. In 2010, when she was writing this book, she thought of you in like 5th or 6th grade, and she was like, this one's for Caitlin.
I appreciate her, honestly. It was so funny. And, like, I've been thinking about it ever since. Her ankles were particularly lovely.
Her ankles. Yeah, her ankles were lovely. Yeah.
You're right.
I love that. I love that. So tell me about a valley then. Tell me about your valley.
Okay, I guess my valley would have to be at the end when they died. No, but
that sucked.
Yeah, I hated that. Really wish they kept on breathing. No, I think it was my valley would just be how Achilles was acting at the end. Like, I totally get like, wanting to live and everything. I'm all for it. But it made me really mad that, like, I love Patroclus and he's a very kind soul and he very much cared for Achilles, but it made me mad that Achilles let him go out there into war wearing his armor, knowing that he not that like Achilles, like, he protested it, and Patroclus literally basically like fought him tooth and nail so that he would let him go. But it was just like, if I were Achilles, I feel like that would be my wake up call to be like, okay, no, I have to go out and fight. I have to do this. And I don't think I could let my partner go and pretend to be me and like take over for me just so I didn't have to go out and fight because of, basically being petty. Is how I interpreted the whole situation. So I don't know, it just made me mad. It has nothing to do with the writing at all. It's just more of like I was aggravated with the characters, which is good. You shouldn't always agree with everything a character is doing, especially if they're your protagonist. But it just made me like be like, oh, come on, dude, don't do it. Like, we all know what your fate is. Maybe this isn't a good idea. I don't know. You might want to circle back on that idea and just go out and fight yourself and see what happens, considering you are the greatest warrior of your time and your boyfriend is a very good supporter, but not the greatest fighter. So I don't know, it made me mad at like how he handled that, and I was mad that like Patroclus is so sympathetic and so like, he feels for the characters who, are kind of put down or lonely, because he knows what that feels like. And I just felt like it was almost like he's like, I'll do it, and like I'll always fix the situations. And Achilles is like, yeah, you do always fix the situations. I'll let you do this. And I was just like, no, you deserve better than that. Yeah. So I guess that was my valley. What was yours?
Oh, I don't think it was dissimilar, honestly. Mine was that I felt like Patroclus was sometimes portrayed as kind of this passive protagonist where,
yeah.
yeah, like I felt like after reading a little bit about Greek mythology, and a lot of Greek mythology, he's portrayed as very wise, as somebody who is definitely a lot more, I feel like, active and involved in not just in the Trojan War, but in general. And I definitely think that his later pursuits as a medic make up for this. However, there were many times when, at the very least, I just felt that, like, I needed more from Achilles. I needed to understand what Achilles saw in Patroclus from Achilles' perspective. And that is, of course, the but of a book like this is all from Patroclus' perspective. This is a love letter to Achilles, and that's makes sense to me. But there were many times when I found myself asking, what does Achilles see in Patroclus? I, as the reader, know that Patroclus is wonderful and kind and soft and sacrifices so much for the people that he cares about. But I don't know if Achilles knows that, and I don't really see him express that very much.
Yeah, I think the closest we got to that is like when in the beginning when like Achilles chooses basically chooses Patroclus to be his like second.
Yeah.
And his dad is like, why him? And
yeah.
Achilles goes, he's surprising.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And what else about him do you like? He does like help Patroclus. Like he always has an answer for him. Like, oh, you weren't showing up at your fighting lessons. Oh, it's because you were at music lessons with me, and like you come with me now, so that isn't actually a lie. And then just always trying to find a way out of it. And like when Patroclus was one of the people who had to go fight in the war because he did present himself to Helen as a kid. Mm-hmm. And Achilles is like, that's not your name anymore, though, so you're fine. You don't have to go. Like, he always has an answer. And, like, I feel like those were, like, the rare moments where you could see how he's like, I'm going to do anything to protect you. Right. But it wasn't enough to be like, I know. And not that it was like, oh, this person loves this person more. But it's just like, we see how much Patroclus loves Achilles. I want to see that reciprocated.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I think that was it. I wish to see more of their dynamic together. Sometimes there were allusions to that. Oh, they're playing and they're doing this and doing that, but like then they wouldn't describe those scenes. I just wanted like two more little fluffy scenes in there so I could better understand their dynamic together, how they complement each other. But yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I like that. Do you have like a favorite quote from the book?
Do I have a favorite quote? It's hard to say. I feel like the last two, I can't say them. I refuse to say them. I just would inquire that any person who has
Should I read them?
Go
for people who might not remember?
Please feel free. Those are my favorite because they make me cry, and I will cry here, so.
Cool. All right, so it's time to make Emberlyn cry.
No. If I don't, this will be very disappointing.
Okay. So the last two lines of the book are, in the darkness, two shadows, reaching through the hopeless, heavy dusk, their hands meet, and light spills in the flood like 100 golden urns pouring out the sun. She's doing her very best to not cry right now, and I'm proud of her.
Yeah. I think that it's finally worn me out. I'm trying. Yeah.
I get that.
Wow. Yeah, I think that it has to be those.
It's a nice ending. I remember reading that being like, I had like a sigh of relief because I was like, oh, they are laid to rest together. Like, at least they get that.
Because the way everybody talks about this book is like, it's so tragic. So my assumption is always automatically that it doesn't end well, period. Like, at all. Like, they're never together again. And I'm like, I don't think I can live with this. And so the fact that the last page exists is really what keeps me going. Yeah. How about you?
I like that. I kind of have two that stuck out. The first one being his presence was like a stone in my shoe, impossible to ignore. I just really liked that like little analogy because I don't know, it kind of made me go like when I read it, because and then I like started thinking about it. I was just like, you get a rock in your shoe? That shit's annoying, and you cannot like I for one, I get so like sensory overload. I'm like, I need to get this out now or I cannot function. Yeah. And I just the person equivalent of that to me was just so like, oh my god, like there's this person in your life and you just can't ignore them because like they're just always there and always present. And I don't know, I liked that comparison to the stone in the shoe, so I just thought that was like really clever. And then the other one that got me, and obviously on a second read through it hit different, but even the first time, the quote is, "And perhaps it is the greater grief after all to be left on earth when another is gone." And I liked that because it makes me sad. And then it makes me think, because like, is it like terrible and sad to die? Yes, but the sadder thing is the people you leave behind, and because you have to live with that, and it makes me really sad. And yeah, so I think those are my favorite quotes because it was cute and thought-provoking and very sad. Which I think sums up this book for me. It's like, oh, it's sweet and very, very sad.
Yeah, like it's like, this is a wonderful, soft book and also a tragic, terrible book in the best way. So I guess that makes me wonder, Caitlin, on a scale of 1 to 5 figs tossed gently to your lover, your future lover, what do you rate it?
I rate Song of Achilles 4 out of 5 figs gently tossed to my future lover. How about you? How many figs?
I'm gonna rate it the same, 4 to 5 figs tossed gently to your future lover. I took 1 fig away because I cried in front of my boyfriend, and it was an ugly cry. And I looked at the bathroom mirror, and it was really streaky, and I felt kind of embarrassed by that, and I blame this book for causing that.
It's funny, that's why you took away 1 fig. I took away 1 fig because it didn't make me streaky in the mirror. Because I think maybe because I was expecting it from what everyone says. But I think for a book to deserve 5 out of 5 for me personally, like, it has to really hit emotionally. And this one did, but it was still like, I ended the book and I was like, yeah, that was a good book. Not like I have to sit here and, stare at a wall for a day to really process it. But
that's fair.
That being said, it's a very, very good book. I love a good cry, and I didn't have to do that with this one per se, even though that Cleopatra line did make me cry. But yeah, 4 out of 5 figs gently tossed to your future lover.
Yeah, I think that's a fair rating.
Thanks for listening to the first ever episode of Lit by Moonlight. Make sure to tune in next week when we enter the Shadowfold and discover a great and rare power when we discuss Shadow and Bone.